So we all know that Nic Stone can write. This wasn't a fact to be disputed. But did we know if she could write middle grade? No, we didn't. Ha! I didn't. Okay, I fell in love with Dear Martin and Dear Justice because Nic Stone wrote those two books so well that I was pissed off the entire time I was reading it. Guys, my name is Tiaja, and you're watching The Black Bell, and I talk about books a lot. I'm not here to talk about Dear Martin and Dear Justice. Read those books, 5 out of 5, both of them. I'm here to talk about her two companion middle grade novels, Clean Getaway and Fast Pitch. I'm sorry I'm pitching a lot too. But okay, Clean Getaway is the one I read first, is the one that came out first, and it was just amazing, you guys. I gave it a 4 out of 5, I think, because I was like, holy shit. I actually don't own a physical copy of either of them. I listened to the audiobooks for both of them. So Clean Getaway is about the story of Scoob. Well, that's not his actual name, but his grandmother calls him Scoob. He goes on a road trip with his white grandmother through southern states. I feel like there's a way better way to describe that. Maybe I'll read the synopsis so I don't butcher Miss Stone's work. Set against the backdrop of the segregation history of the American South, take a trip with New York Times best-selling author Nic Stone and an 11-year-old boy who's about to discover the world hasn't always been a welcoming place for kids like him. And things aren't always what they seem, his Juma included. So it's about an 11-year-old boy named Scoob who goes on a trip through southern states with his grandmother, and he doesn't take his cell phone. How do I describe this? How do I describe this book without describing this book? It's about his grandmother is a white woman, and she married and had a child with a black man, and his father is a black male, obviously because his grandfather was a black male. But Scoob's father doesn't really like his father, so there's always been like a disconnect there, but he loves his grandma. So when Scoob's grandma picks him up out of nowhere and says we're going on this road trip, he doesn't think twice about it, and he leaves his phone at home with his father, just because I feel like I can't remember why he left his phone at home, but he does. And so he goes on this road trip with his grandma, and during the road trip he slowly starts catching on. His grandma's acting a little weird, she's acting a little funny, and every time her phone rings or his father calls her, Scoob never really gets a chance to talk to him and stuff like that. So he's going with his grandmother on this trip, and they're having a good time. They love each other, they have such a good relationship, but Scoob's seeing things that he hasn't really experienced because he's from California, I'm pretty sure. So he's seeing things that he's never really experienced down in the South, where segregation was very prominent, and people are watching him, this black boy, and his grandmother, this white elderly woman, and with disgust, with distaste. And so the story is about his grandmother explaining some things to him learning things out by himself, but also learning things about his grandmother that he'd never known, he would have never guessed. And I thought it was just really good, really entertaining, fast-paced read, and honestly I think you should just check it out if you're looking for kind of a mystery, because there is a mystery, but it's more so I think suspenseful and educational, because you get the whole story through Scoob's perspective. Honestly, it was just a fun time for me. In the end, we do find out some stuff about the grandma that kind of made me upset. I don't really like her as a character. I mean, she was a sweet grandma and everything, but fucked up person, I think. And I feel like that's just shit you have to realize. Your grandparents are people, your parents are people. They've done things, and they have a past, and I guess you either choose to take them as they are now because their past has made them this, or you can blame them for that past. I personally blame his grandmother for her past discretions and whatnot, but Scoob had to decide whether or not he would take a secret that he learned about his grandmother to the grave with him or not. And I feel like it's a story that left a lot. It didn't leave a lot to be desired because it was good, it was complete, but I felt it left me still questioning, not the book, but life. And I think that's the best books do that. So I really enjoyed it, 4 out of 5 stars. After I read that marvelous book, I was like, okay, let me try out her other middle grade novel. I had no idea that they were companions or set in the same universe. I didn't know that. So when I read Fast Pitch, and I found out that the main character is Scoob's crush, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. So Fast Pitch by Nic Stone, I also gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Before this book even came out, you guys, I was going to read it because the black girl playing softball on the cover. Maybe y'all don't know this, but for 4 years I played softball for my high school and it is so much fun. I was gonna play for my college. If I liked my college, I would play for it. I've never read a book about softball. I've never even heard about black girls playing softball. Only in my league, you know. Softball is usually a sport attributed to white girls. Usually, I don't know why people think queer white girls are the only people that play softball, but I think that's very weird. But the fact that Fast Pitch is about a black softball girl, and not only that, but it's about the first ever like black softball team that was ever competed or won tournaments or anything like that. It was just so cool. So the main character of this story is Shanice, and she is the love interest, or not the love interest, but the crush, the crush, and Clean Getaway, which I thought was so cute because when Scoob is mentioned in this book, I was like, Scoob, how you doing, baby? And it's like a year. I think it's like a year after Clean Getaway. So this story follows the first black softball team as they're making their way up into these championships and winning world records and setting records and whatnot. And at the heart of it is Shanice, their captain, voted captain in. So like her team loves her and she's very lovable. She's very driven and she's funny. And her team is playing for this $10,000 cash money prize. The story starts when she meets her great uncle and he's in a hospital bed. He's old and he forgets things easily and he loses headspace quickly. And so she meets her Uncle Jack and he's in the hospital dying, and he basically confides in her that a past relative of theirs, her grandfather actually, so her dad's dad, so this is her dad's uncle that's dying, but her grandfather, who was framed for a crime, he used to play baseball. So baseball runs in their family. Shanice plays it, her dad played it, and her grandfather played it. But when her grandfather was younger, he was accused of a crime involving a really special baseball glove, and he was sent to jail for it. His name was never cleared for that crime. He died being accused of that crime. And apparently Uncle Jack reveals to Shanice that maybe this isn't exactly what happened. It was all a setup. So basically Shanice goes on, and her nickname is Lightning, but Shanice goes on to try to uncover the truth about what happened with her grandfather before Uncle Jack, fix it. I think this is a really great story because it shows so much heart, so it shows so much drive, and it has softball at the center of it. And like, obviously racism is still apparent. The South is still very recently unsegregated. Just like Clean Getaway, it explores both like familial secrets, familial past secrets, familial bonds, I guess, and also like segregation and the truth about just Black lives in America. And I think for a middle grade audience, these books were just perfect, amazing. And I think they were also very quick paced. Like, they were both fly into it and fly out of it. And I think that if you're looking for a new quick middle grade books to read, like, these are two perfect ones to pick up. So those were my thoughts on those two books, non-spoilery thoughts on those two novels. Nic Stone is quickly becoming one of those authors where I'm like, all right, a new book is out, so I gotta get it. But so far, I've only read 4 out of like 6 books that I know of for sure. Odd One Out and Jackpot. So I want to read those two and see what it do. But hopefully you guys check out these two because they're worth the hype they're not getting. So toodaloo, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, beauties.